So, welcome in everybody. For those of you that I have not met yet, my name is Kenny, and I have been at Whatnot now for almost 3.5 years, which is pretty cool. I've gotten a front row kind of to see the growth and the evolution of this amazing platform. And over those 3.5 years, I've really just been on doing community work. And so what that means is developing programs and initiatives that seek to educate sellers, inspire sellers at scale. So there's like 250 of you. I would say that's at scale. We do that through several different ways. We do webinars. We've been doing a lot of IRL events in real life. In fact, Casey, if you want to drop the URL there, I could speak to the Meetup Hub. And Whatnot Sellers, this account here, if you're not following this account, Whatnot Sellers, this is our official seller-facing account on Whatnot, where we go live about once a week with really good programming. Sometimes we're interviewing sellers. Sometimes we're interviewing people that work at Whatnot. Next week is a very exciting show. I can't really say what it is just yet, but it's going to be a banger. So yeah, make sure you follow and bookmark this account. And then what Casey just pinned there in the chat, Casey is my counterpart on the community team, absolute legend, I might add, is meetups.whatnot.com. This is going to be announced more broadly, but you guys are getting kind of a sneak peek at it. It's our new Meetups hub. And so if you're a seller and you're interested in hosting a meetup in your local area, there is a form there that you could fill out, and we will review it. And if it makes sense, we will get in touch with you and help you, kind of get that off the ground. And then also you'll be able to see, if you just want to attend, you don't want to host, you'll be able to see meetups that are happening in your area. And so check that out as well. So that's a little bit about me. I'm joined today. We're going to talk about seller best practices, and I'm joined today by a seller that I've gotten to know over the last 2 years, who I think exemplifies community and also is a very successful seller. And so always great to kind of, ask her how she's done it and some of her insights in hopes that some of you here would benefit from it as well. And that is none other than Kristine from the Hodgepodge Place. Hi, Kristine.
Hi, Kenny.
How are we doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you today?
I am wonderful. It is so fun to have you here with me. I guess before we kick it off, and the way that's going to go, chat, is I've got a bunch of questions I want to ask Kristine. But if you have a question for Kristine, drop it in the chat, and Casey will be putting some of those aside. Of course, we can't get to all of your questions, but we'll get to as many as we can towards the end of this show, which is scheduled for 1 hour long. And again, if you miss something, this show will be available on our YouTube channel under the Whatnot Sellers playlist. So Casey, if you don't mind dropping in the YouTube URL, you could, if you want to just go back and watch a bunch of other Whatnot Seller shows, you could do that by checking out the YouTube URL. And so, yeah, Kristine, why don't we kick it off with who are you and how are you?
Well, I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking. And I am the Hodgepodge Place. So if you are new here or don't know me, hi, my name is Kristine. I am the Hodgepodge Place. I sell antiques, collectibles, jewelry, glassware, clothing, currently selling a storage unit full of baseball cards, but I sell a little bit of everything, generally Monday through Friday, 9 a.m., but I also do nights and weekends sometimes. So
awesome. And where you're based out of New York?
upstate New York. Yep.
Upstate New York. Shout out to chat. Where are you joining us from? Drop it in the chat. What state or even what country you're joining us from today? Let's see what we got. Oh my gosh. It's
Everybody.
too fast. It's too fast. It's everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's literally every state, I feel like. And probably some countries that I've missed.
I can.
Okay. So let's kick it off kind of by like your origin story on Whatnot, and then we'll go from that to early challenges and your learnings. And then from there, we'll go to strategy and operations. And if we have time, maybe we'll talk about marketing. So let's go back to your early days on Whatnot. What first drew you to selling on Whatnot?
So I was introduced to Whatnot by I owned a thrift store, and a woman came in and asked if I had ever heard of the app before, and showed it to me. I do not do well on stagnant platforms, so I was very interested in the auction side of it and the live part of it. I watched a few shows and then tried my own and failed hard right at the beginning, but was able to work through some things. I like to say, my first show I sold nothing, second show I sold nothing, third show I sold nothing, my fourth show I sold $44, my fifth show I sold nothing. So it took time, weeks, months to really get into the groove, but the app was something that I was very interested in right off the bat because I do love auctions.
So I want to talk about that first show, the second and the third show. So I think a lot of folks, there's probably folks here that are, planning on doing their first live stream and they haven't even done it yet, or maybe they have done one or two. And, and so like your journey now, sure, you go live now and you have 150 people on an average at any given time in your room. You've built a big following, a loyal buyer base, and a pretty big business actually. And so, but in the beginning, it wasn't like that. How many shows like did you feel you started to get some sort of traction? And we're like, okay, wait a minute, there's something here if I just continue.
I would say at least a month in. I started in October three years ago. And about a month in, around Christmas time, I had my first real big show where I sold again, I had up until this point had sold, 5 items here, 20 items here, and I was really excited about that. About a month in, 6 weeks in of being consistent, going live I used to go Tuesdays, Thursdays, and every other Friday. I sold over 100 items in one day, and that was the first time that I was like, oh, I can make a go of this. If I keep doing this, it will continue to grow, and it will be very beneficial.
And then what were some in those initial shows? Do you remember any challenges that you faced in terms of like operations or how to run the show, or what were some of your early challenges? And then so like how did you overcome them?
So at the beginning, I tried to do preloaded shows and then found that wasn't for me. That's the reason that I didn't sell on other platforms. I was trying to go through and list things and take pictures and have the price. And then I was just holding them in front of the camera. Also, for the first 6 months, I didn't show my face. So the first, half a year that I went live, I was behind the camera and I would just show an item and then I would run it. So I had to try different times, different days, and different ways of selling to find what worked for me. And then I found scan shows worked really well where I could just walk around and wait for someone to tell me what they wanted. And then I started to be successful with that and then moved to more of just a random array of things, a hodgepodge of items. I would bring out anything and I would show different things every day and see what, people wanted. But it was definitely trial and error at the beginning to see what people liked, people wanted, and what I enjoyed selling.
Interesting. And so you changed kind of like your selling format as you evolved on the platform. What can you help maybe some folks? What do you mean when you say a scan show?
So there's different, like, if you go into shows now, there could be someone standing there and they're holding something up and they run it and they put it down. But if you go into shows that do, we'll say like live estate sales or live stores, when I first started, I walked around behind the camera and would just bring you and show you everything that I had on my shelves. So I would scan my shelves and then you could call out what you wanted. And that is how I started to sell and started to get an idea of what people were looking for.
Awesome. And that works pretty well, right? Because you do a lot of estate sales or storage lockers, storage units, and things like that. And so you kind of don't know. There's literally a hodgepodge. And so now I understand your name makes so much more sense. But yeah, what was there a moment, like even maybe if you think back to the early days where you thought maybe quitting, maybe Whatnot wasn't for you, and then or like what helped you push through sort of the slow start that you had?
I think multiple times at the beginning, and even in the first, I would say, 4 to 6 months, I had thought that maybe it wasn't for me. That it had a hard time doing both. I had a hard time getting people to join my lives, and then just being consistent and showing up because doing this is different than anything else. So on a bad day, you still have to show up. So you're having a bad day, you can't just not work. So that was something I struggled with at the beginning and thought, I don't think I want to do this. I didn't want to be in front of the camera either. And I realized the most successful people I was seeing on the app were in front of the camera and were being engaging, and it was something that I didn't think I could do at first, or I didn't know that I wanted to do at first. And then as I continued to do it, realized that I could.
That you could, and that turns out you're very good at it. I mean, I watch your shows, and they're super entertaining. I think the folks who are attracted to you really just love your personality. I think that's maybe worth talking about a little bit. It's like, hey, if you're a new seller and you're tuning into this right now, and be yourself, right? Like Kristine is herself. Like I've met with Kristine, I've had meetings with, like, she is who she is when she's live and when she's on the phone or anywhere else. And so I guess the point I'm trying to make is, like, when you start off selling, you might feel a compulsion to like be like your favorite seller, right? To like take inspiration and to kind of mirror or mimic or whatever. But I would tell you that that's probably not good for the long game, and also probably very exhausting. Instead, be yourself, and the people who end up following you will end up following you for all of the right reasons, because they actually enjoy you for yourself. And so it kind of goes back to, like, what maybe your parents, I know my parents used to say, like, be yourself, everyone else is taken. It's very true in the world of being a whatnot seller. And so I think Kristine's a great example of that. If you haven't checked out her shows, drop her a follow and check her out. And you'll see exactly what I mean by her personality is very authentic when she's live. Okay. What advice would you give to some of the newer sellers here in the chat that are maybe going through that initial kind of like learning curve or initial slow start as a new seller? What kind of, I mean, if you had stopped, you wouldn't be where you are now. And so, like, what would you tell yourself, I guess, back then?
I think people ask a lot, when is the best time to go live? And my advice on that is to go live when you want to. The beauty of Whatnot is you can go live at any time, any day. And people are like, and if you look at analytics, it's going to tell you the best day and time. That doesn't mean it's going to be the best day and time for you. Right. And I know that I could do night shows and weekend shows, but the best time and day for me are mornings. I have the most energy. So when people come to watch me as a podcast and they don't buy anything, I have hundreds of people. They're like, how do you keep those people? I'm just talking and telling stories and doing whatever. And I have that energy to do that first thing in the morning. And so I suggest finding a day and time that works for you. When I first started, I did Tuesdays and Thursdays and every other Friday. And to this day, 3 years later, no matter what, I will not miss a Tuesday, a Thursday, or an every other Friday. Those are still my best shows. So people still know, no matter what they're doing or what other shows I'm doing, if they show up, I'm still going to be there on a Tuesday and a Thursday. So find the day and time that works for you, and then try other things too. But if you're going to be on at noon every Tuesday, at noon on a Tuesday, I'm going to look for you. So find a good rhythm, find a good consistency, and then try other things, days, times, people. Put yourself out there. I definitely think that at the beginning, making friends and making a community was the best thing that I did. And I spent so much time and money on this app. I still do, but it's a different, live selling is different than stagnant selling. You have to have to put yourself out there and talk to people, and I think that's something, if you're just starting out, go into rooms, talk to people, go into lots of different rooms and meet different people, and just put yourself out there and make friends.
Wow, there is so much great information in what you just said. There are two things in particular stand out to me. One would be like to make friends and make connections and that sort of thing, because one of the amazing things about Whatnot is that you'll see communities supersede competition, which honestly I don't think I've ever seen anywhere else in any other e-commerce platform. And so what that means is, like, Kristine regularly hosts shows on how to be a successful Whatnot seller, because there's this mentality that of like a rising tide lifts all ships, and there's plenty of room kind of for everyone on Whatnot, right? It's all inclusive. And she does that really, really well. And again, I think that that's part of her success, is doing that, right? Obviously there's a lot more to it, but that's one part of it. And the other thing you said was go live when you have like the right headspace and the right schedule and all of that. A lot of folks, one of the most common questions I hear is like, what's the best time to go live, right? And it's like, there's no silver bullet answer to that question. It's like I always say, and my answer has been the same, Kristine, by the way, over the last 3 years. It's like go live when you feel like going live. Like when you don't have errands on your head or kids to pick up or dinner to prepare, like go live when you can be present. It's like a job. And so when you show up to a job, you got to just be at the job. And so that's kind of the feedback. And then within that time frame, like you are consistent on those days, like you will not miss those days. That's another really key one. So like carve out, folks get used to sort of the entertainment factor, and so they come to expect Kristine live on Thursday. Like it's almost like a television show that you love, when it's on, right? And it's like subconsciously you're like, oh, I'm gonna tune in, it's on, it's coming up. And it's very similar here on Whatnot. And so those are really two great pieces of advice, and thank you for them. So I've seen a couple questions like, is this going to be available to watch later? The answer is yes, it'll be on our YouTube channel. We do upload these usually the day after on our official Whatnot YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see this and a bunch of other ones that we've done in the past. And then also I see a lot of really great questions about product features and requests. Just know that after the show, I do go through the transcript and pull all of those out and share it with the right teams internally. And so it's not like you're typing it here and it's just going out into the abyss. So I appreciate that, although I can't acknowledge all of them in real time. But if you do have a question for Kristine, drop it in the chat. And we will take as many as we can towards the end. We're pulling them aside right now. So thank you so much. Okay, Kristine, let's talk a little bit about strategy and operations. Tell me about your live selling strategy today. What is your approach when it comes to shows, preparation, inventory, stuff like that?
So acquiring inventory, people ask a lot on where I get my inventory or where they can get inventory. I definitely try to purchase in bulk, and I think that's my biggest strategy is I still try to purchase entire estates or from an auction or entire storage unit. That way I can keep my prices down and then also liquidate quickly and have a lot of different type of products. So, going forward, same type of thing. Every time that I look to purchase, though I do still enjoy thrift stores and antique stores and estate sales, and I still will continue to shop there. And if I'm in a specific, show or train or something where I need to source specifically, I will spend a little more money. I definitely try to buy bigger lots of items whenever I can.
Okay. And then how do you prepare that inventory? So you said you do these scan shows now. So I know like you're the type that you have like a store, right? That you go live from, or is it a warehouse or is it?
I'm in my house now. So I sold my store. So
Right.
now I go live from my house. I generally will just do random pulls. So because it takes that extra step to take everything out, to put everything on display, that I don't really have the time for if I'm going to do more shows. And because I do all of the back end work on my own too, I have generally just been pulling out, I'll pull out a tote and I will randomly pull items. If I'm doing a specific theme or something, I will set it out. But the strategy on selling is very much a random, but I do think that is a strategy in itself. The time that I'm saving on unpacking and cleaning and organizing and putting up, I can make up, in sales by the amount of items. I might not sell, I might not get, the price maybe, but I will be able to sell twice as much. So because I buy the way I do, I can sell that way.
Awesome. Okay. So how do you interact with your community during shows? I mean, if you had to sort of like, bottle that up, how would you describe the way that you interact with your community?
They're my best friends. I know that sounds silly, and I've seen people say on, social media that you can't refer to the people on social media as your friends. The people that I interact with every day, I honestly, genuinely care about. The community that I have built, the people on there, I care about their well-being, and that's why I'm able to do the community shows where I help them. One, the better you do, the better I do. I want to bring more people to this app, but two, I really do care about everyone in this community that I've built.
And you've met like the people that you've met and became friends with are actually friends like also off the platform now?
Yes, all my best friends. All my best friends in real life are, besides a couple that have been with me, are people that I've met on this app. So I, at the beginning, I had done a few, travel plans where I had been able to go to California and Ohio and meet some people. And then I also was able to meet a few people right here in my area that I am able to spend time with. But yes, and we talk every day and, have group chats and Snapchat and Facebook friends and everything else, but we haven't been able to build real friendships off this app.
I love that. That never gets old for me. I've heard that a bazillion times and it never gets old. Let's talk a little bit about, look, Whatnot offers sellers a bunch of tools that they can use. Which ones do you find most useful, or are there ones that you rely on pretty consistently? I'm talking things like, coupons, giveaways, promote tools, free or reduced shipping, rewards club. I mean, the list goes on and on. Are there things that you use pretty like often and kind of rely on?
I do think that the giveaway feature is important. I know that there's a lot of debate on that and how, followers do not equate to sales, and I get that. And giveaways are very expensive, and if it's not built into your plan, then don't utilize it. But I utilize it often. One, I like to give back as much as I can, and two, I just think that it is a very helpful tool because it can get people to stay. If you give me 5 minutes of your time, I can usually win you over, right? So if I can capture someone for 5 minutes by giving them a $5 gift card, I have a lot of faith in myself that in that 5 minutes I can give you a reason to come back. So I think that is one of the tools that I utilize most. I don't utilize discounted shipping too often, though I think that can also be a good tool, because I know that if I'm in a show that has discounted shipping and I buy something, I will buy a million things because I'm going to fill my box. If you allow me to buy things with free shipping, I'm going to use it. So I think that's another tool that is very helpful.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's really cool. Like, I mean, we keep building new tools for sellers, so much more on the way there as well. So stay tuned. Let's talk a little bit about your brand and how that relates to your growth. And so, how do you market yourself both on Whatnot and off of the platform through social media?
Most of my social media I have started after Whatnot. I think I like to say that too because people think that you have to have social media to be successful in Whatnot. You do not. So the only thing prior to Whatnot that I had was my TikTok, and my TikTok is not professional. But my other follow me on TikTok. I'm funny, but it's not professional. But my Instagram, my YouTube, and my Facebook I created after having Whatnot, and those they're professional, and I also try to post funny things, definitely, but my YouTube is very geared towards being helpful. So I use the other social media that I have to not only draw people into Whatnot, but if you come in and you're looking for something specific that I can't help you with right now, I can direct you over there to get the information that you're looking for. I do post my shows. I use my stories a lot because it's easy to post the link. So like the link to this show is on my Instagram and Facebook right now in my stories. So I do post in pictures and links when I'm having, events or whatever on my other social medias.
And I know that you've got a pretty good YouTube channel with some really helpful seller advice, like on shipping specifically, correct?
Yes, I do have videos. I have a dozen or so videos on everything really Whatnot related, and then I have 5 or 6 really helpful shipping videos. And I direct you over there just if you have questions, because you can pause it, you can rewind it, you can go back, you can do it while you're watching it. So it's very helpful for new sellers especially.
And same name on YouTube. Thank you, Sassy.
Yes.
Sassy
Yep.
Vintage Chick. Awesome. Okay. How do you think about growth right now? I mean, what are your top 3 goals, say, for 2026?
I think that I am so the last So my first year, I had very specific goals with, I do have my goal board right here. My first year, I had very specific goals as far as, a sale, a dollar amount, and so that I could get out of the position that I was in. This year's goals are very much around community and getting myself out there into different categories and also making new friends. So I talk about this a lot, but over the last year was rough and I didn't do a lot in the community. So one of my goals was to go into 3 different people's shows. I have a day, I think, but I'm gonna maybe a week. But I have been able to do that just in this last 2 weeks. Go into different people's shows that I didn't know before and talk. So I'm in people's shows from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to bed. You're on in the background, but I don't usually talk because I get distracted easy. So I made it a goal to set aside some time this year specifically to meet new sellers or sellers that have been around a lot. I met 2 sellers in person last week at the auction that I went to. So just that is a big goal in 2026. I do have monetary goals and I do want to double my following count, but my main goal is really just to build my community bigger.
That's awesome. And then I guess in terms of your business, where do you see it in a year from now?
I don't know. So I have huge goals, and I think my 5-year plan is a lot bigger than maybe my next 2 years. My children are still home, and I refocused my life into what the next couple years of their life looks like. My son will be going to college. My daughter has 2 more years, and so my 5-year plan is a lot bigger than my year plan. But everything has to start here. So if I continue to grow, and again, I got to 50,000 followers. It took me 3 years to do that. My goal is to get to 100,000 followers in the next year. That's a lofty goal. So, but it'll really set me up for success in those future years going forward. So that is going to require me doing a lot more shows, a lot different shows, times, days, whatever the case is. So this is going to be a big growth year to really help set me up in the future.
That's amazing. I mean, I think it's also amazing that you have like your goal on a board, your goal setting board back there. And I think that we can maybe, tell sellers that are tuned in to like, hey, you should set a few goals for yourself if you want to, progress on whatnot. And they could be really anything, right? It could be a follower count, say you want to gain by the end of 2026, or it could even be a monthly goal. Like I want 100 new followers every month. Or it could be a goal around I want to go live at least once a week in 2026. Like these goals, you can start anywhere and they can be anything. But I think it's very helpful to sort of orient yourself around like, what are you really trying to do? And to have some intention around those things. And so that, to set yourself up for success. And we really do love a 5-year plan too. But if you don't even have a 1-month plan or a 1-week plan, start there and keep yourself honest, like look back and see how you're tracking towards that goal. And
Yeah,
so,
so I have it arranged daily, monthly, and then yearly. So it helps me to, see what I'm accomplishing daily, what I want to do daily, what I want to do, monthly, and then my ultimate goal here down on the bottom and how these goals are helping me get there.
yeah, I mean, that's amazing, right? Especially like having that visually in front of you is probably super helpful. What about like scaling the business in terms, so you mentioned you're going to do a lot, like you're going to do more categories and get yourself into more categories. And that's one way you could scale. What about scaling in terms of, have you ever thought about maybe bringing on help or someone I know you ship like a bazillion items a day. Like, do you thought about maybe scaling, bringing on or building a team or maybe scaling through collaborations with other sellers? Have you given that any thought?
I have given that a lot of thought. So I have no doubt that I am hindering myself, that I am not growing to my full potential by not doing those things. It is just identifying when I want to do those things. And I have I have thought about that a lot this year. I think this year I will finally branch out a little bit. I have been collaborating with others. I have plans to do more live sales with different people, which will help me to be able to sell more and more days. And then I do have plans on hiring at least one person to, not even the packing side of it, but like you said, with setting up for the shows, people to just unpack and display my things. So I have plans on hiring someone for my inventory and then possibly someone for packing on the back end, depending on how that goes.
That sounds awesome. Is there anything that Whatnot can do to help support this next stage of growth for you?
I have spoke before about just the marketing side of it when we talk about marketing ourselves, and all of the, Whatnot is doing a good job now, and you're finally starting to see commercials and ads and advertisements. It's still very much heavily geared towards sports cards and where like the OG categories. So hoping that in the future Whatnot branches out and does a little more in categories that I sell in, like the estate sale categories, storage unit categories, jewelry, and vintage decor.
Heard. Appreciate that feedback. And I know that we have some folks internally that are watching this, and so they hear that as well. Let's talk a little bit about advice and some takeaways. Chat, we're going to pretty soon start taking your questions. So if you have any questions for Kristine, we've already got a good list going. Hopefully we can get to them all. But if you really have one that you really want answered, maybe drop it in the chat and we'll get to it if we can. What's one piece of advice you would give to the sellers watching here, whether they're brand new? How about, let's do it this way. What would you tell brand new sellers? We'll do that first. And then what would you tell, what advice would you give experienced sellers?
Brand new sellers, I would say, when Kenny touched on being yourself, I think that's the biggest thing. So people, you can have the best items with the best price, but if you don't have, something else to draw people in, they're not going to want to be there. And you can't pretend forever to be someone else. You can put on a show once in a while, but you really just be yourself so you can grow your own community and you can get your own people. You do not need to be loud and obnoxious and whatever I am. You do not need to be, quiet and timid. You can be yourself, and there's a butt for every seat. You'll find your people just being yourself. That's my biggest piece of advice, because I've seen people fail quickly trying to be others or comparing themselves to others. And then as far as seasoned sellers, I think that, setting yourself goals is important, but also, realistic goals, specific, measurable. So you want to have SMART goals, but also set yourself some big goals, but don't compare yourself to others. If your growth isn't as quick as others, it's very easy to get down on yourself and then give up or not try as hard. So even if you've been doing this for a long time, you've been doing this for years, you're at a standstill or you're coming back or whatever the case is, just do what you did to get you there in the first place, and that will continue. Adapt and change, but still be yourself.
Adapt and change, but still be yourself. That's a gem. That's good. I like that. And so I guess if sellers take just one action this week, let's talk about it in the lens of like a new seller. I mean, there are some sellers here, I'm sure, that like haven't gone live yet, and maybe they're a little nervous, or maybe they think they need to have like the perfect inventory or a certain amount of bookmarks, etc. I always say, like, just go live, just hit the go, like just do it. Nothing, like, it probably won't be your best show, won't be your worst show, like, just do it. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in planning for that perfect show, that first show, that we never ever have that first show. And it's just like, so yeah, I mean, what would you say to that, I guess, sentiment? And then if there's one piece of advice you would give a new seller, what would it be?
That's great advice. And that goes for any seller. New seller goes, just go live. Going live is scary. It never gets easier. I go live every single day, and every day before I go live, I have to talk myself into it and do a deep breath. And if you went through my YouTube and watched the beginning of all my live videos, you would laugh excessively, because every single day I'm like I'm shocked what I look like every time I log on, so the biggest thing, and I'm pretty sure that's on my daily thing, is just go live. It is scary, but it's the only way you're going to find out if this is something that you want to do. And that's the best piece of advice. And this community is still so wonderful. You're going to have people that are going to be there and support you. And and be helpful. So even if you don't know what you're doing, you'll have people that will help you. So go live is the biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, you got to start somewhere. And you look, if you haven't done rehearsal mode, that's another thing that I suggest you do, right? It kind of walks you through a guided tutorial with like a fake live stream that you can click buttons and stuff. Or another thing that I like to say is set it as a private show and then send the link to your friends and to your family and be like, hey guys, I'm going to go live. My first one. I just want to do it with like friends and family just to make sure I know how things work. And you could do that as like a test as well. But ultimately, just go live. Like you're not going to break anything, and you're going to be fine. And chances are you might really love it. You know, a lot of folks said, "Oh, I'm so nervous," and then I did it, and now I can't stop. I love it. You know, and so, yeah. Okay, Kristine, this has been awesome. I want to do questions from the chat, if that's good with you. The chat, by the way, is really showing up for you. You got a lot of fans in the building. Let's take the first question from visuals. Now, visuals, I saw you asked a lot of really great questions throughout the chat. I appreciate those, and like I said, I will mark them out after the show along with everyone else's questions. But this question's for Kristine. He's asking, or she's asking, what features would you like to see added to Whatnot?
The main thing, visuals, I'm going to follow you. Sorry. The main thing that I would love to see is gift cards. We've talked about this a lot. I just think that that would be an amazing tool that we could use. I give away thousands of dollars in gift cards a week to other sites and other platforms. So would love to see that come here so we can just put that money right back into this app.
Well, I love that, and I can tell you all, and I see that you all love that idea. That this is something that we are working on currently,
Yay!
and so stay tuned for more. Next question, but great one, and like heard, you know, of course, we would rather you give a Whatnot gift card than an Amazon gift card, obviously. Okay, next question comes from Uno. I hope I'm not butchering this username too much, but it looks like Uno VA Girls. Did you do a lot of giveaways to get the momentum going in the beginning?
I did, but not every show. So I do giveaways every show now. At the beginning, I would do giveaway shows. So now I think if I was restarting, I would prepare to do giveaways during every show because I think that it's helpful, especially to grow a following. I know you don't need followers to make sales, but it can't hurt. And again, if you can get people in front of you and you can capture them within that 5 minutes they stay for a $5 gift card, that's worth it all day long. So I definitely think that I would have changed the way I did at the beginning. At the beginning, I would do like a whole show where I would give away 20 items and then, not do another giveaway for a month or however often I did those. But if I was to restart now, I would build that into my business plan, how much I was going to allow myself in giveaways, whether it be one at the beginning of the show and one at the end or one a week or whatever it is. I would utilize that a lot more.
Yeah, and I want to just double click on what you said earlier about your strategy for giveaways. I mean, you basically said it's like a 5 minute, like it's almost like buying a 5 minute promotion of airtime for yourself. And so you run you run a giveaway and you're hoping that people will stick around for 5 minutes, and it allows you to sort of sell them on why they should buy from you or hang out in your shows or whatever. And so if you leverage giveaways that way, like it's very, very strategic and it could be very, very worthwhile. But those are one of those things, giveaways, some people love them, some people swear by them, some people don't do them. You do you on that and whatever works for you. Next question from, let's see. Board to Thrift is asking, do you find benefit in engaging Whatnot shoppers and sellers on social media?
Yes. Is there a benefit? Yes. I definitely think that social media, because this is social media selling, the more that you utilize it, the more that it can help you, right? So if you're engaging with people, they're going to want to buy from you, shop from you, whatever the case is. And if you're posting things on your other social media about selling over here, then you can tell them where to buy it, where to, how they can buy it from you. Did that answer the question? I'm sorry. I was multitasking, and I'm not good at that.
I think so. I mean, the short answer is yes. It can be
Yes.
beneficial, but also it's a fine line between being like spammy and weird. Like I would build like real
Correct.
relationships with these people rather than like cold approach, like like sliding in their DMs without knowing. Like again, one of the things I see a lot of successful sellers do is go into other sellers' streams on Whatnot and be cool and like hang out and buy stuff and like then maybe DM them once there's context. Once you've established a little bit of a rapport, you could be like, "Hey, Kristine, I was in your show. I loved that one item. By the way, I sell in sneakers. If you ever want to collaborate, like, don't just do it like without any kind of, I don't know, anything.
Yeah. So
It's not a good
don't
look. Yeah.
and it's not a good look. So don't go into people's shows. One, today I was selling sports cards and had someone come in and say, "Oh, I have this helmet, blah blah." Don't go into people's shows and try to steal viewers or whatever else or blindly promote yourself. That's never going to work. It's a bad look. It's rude. It's uncomfortable for the seller and for you. Same thing with DMs. Don't send me your shows. I'm never gonna go. I don't check my DMs anyway. And I think that it just comes off as spammy. But building that relationship
Yes.
is different. So if you have consistently showed up in my chat or are on my social medias and you're liking my stuff and you're commenting on my things, I'm going to look for you. I'm going to find you. You'll have a lot better chance of getting people to come talk to you. Like right there, someone asked a question, so I followed them because it was a good question. And I want to see what they're about. So, and I think you said Board to Thrift asked that question. She's a perfect example of how you can just go into shows and be funny and people will follow you. So she'll just go into a random show and just say a couple, not things not related to what they're doing, but they're selling something. She'll say something funny and she'll get a couple followers out of it.
Yeah, I love that. And another piece of advice that we often give sellers is like, if you're like a newer seller and you're trying to create your style, look beyond your category. In other words, it's, sometimes we get so locked into the category that we have passion for or that we love, right? That we forget that there's, well, so many other categories at this point on Whatnot. I mean, you can go into sporting goods, you can go into fishing, you can go into like, God, there's so many, and you can see what other sellers are doing. That it doesn't mean you copy them, but it can give you inspiration. You can be like, oh, I saw something that this knife seller was doing, and it was so clever. I'm going to try it in vintage. Like, there's a lot of inspiration just out there and Whatnot all of the time, and that you could just kind of draw from. I always say, like, go into each category and find your favorite seller, and like take all of those sellers and kind of make your own style, which is pretty fun.
That's great advice.
Yeah. I'm guilty of it too. I spend all my time, and I'm on Whatnot a lot, and I spend all my time probably in 3 categories, but I'm very excited about food and drink kind of popping off. So,
I love
yeah.
snack category.
Shout
I'm
out to the
OG.
snacks category. It's
OG
going to
in the
be
snacks category.
massive.
I love them.
Yeah, I just bought literally. It's tough, right? Because I end up buying cookies and things that like I don't need for sure, but I can't not buy, and so it's great. Okay, next question comes from Danielle 82404. Shipping. How do we overcome the fear for our first show regarding shipping? It seems complicated.
Easy answer is it's not complicated. It's
Yeah.
very easy. And the only way you can overcome it is to do it. And I think once you do it, you're going to get over that fear very quickly. I think that it's very user friendly for the most part. Again, I have lots of YouTube videos on how to do it, and then also you mess up, right? So the reason that I've made these videos and the reason that I talk about it consistently and the reason that I help people is because I've made every mistake you could make in shipping things. And the most it's done is cost me a little bit of money. So it's, you're going to make mistakes. It's fine. Just try it. I don't think that should be a reason for you to not go live. I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised how quickly you catch on to the shipping side of it.
Yeah. And I would also add, I agree completely with what Kristine said. I'd also add there's some resources available to you beyond. I mean, yes, you could just Google Whatnot shipping as a seller, and you'll find probably Kristine's video and probably 100 other videos. but there's also Seller Academy. Casey, if you can link, pin that in the chat. Selleracademy.whatnot.com is a really great website for sellers. It's every resource that we have is linked from that website. And so it's really rich with resources. Thank you so much, Casey. If you haven't been there, check it out. There's a new seller handbook that you could click on, and within that handbook, there's a whole section on shipping. There are a lot of resources available to you. Help.whatnot.com is essentially like our help website, which has like a search bar, and you could just type in anything, and 99 times out of 100, there's a full article about that thing that you have a question about. So it could be like flat rate shipping. You can type that in and boom, you could read all about it, or whatever it is. And so, don't get, just don't get fearful of it, because there's nothing to fear, honestly. And like Kristine said, it's not complicated. Understand, like, if you've never shipped anything before, it could be perceived as complex. But really, I think we've done, the engineers and the product folks here have done such a good job of sort of guiding you along the way, like putting guardrails up where it's very hard to break things or to really screw it up. And again, there is a learning curve, but everyone here can do it. That's for sure.
For sure.
Cool. Thank you for that, Kristine. It's great. Great advice. Next question is coming from Amy Beth 91941. What advice can you give to a seller to push through the rough patches?
I have, if you want to do it, you got to do it. So I say it all the time. There's no like you said, there's no silver bullet. There's no easy way. It is what it is. So do it sad, do it tired, do it scared, do it sick. You have to just do it. So you have to overcome your own thing in your brain, and make yourself do it. I can't give you, a piece of easy advice that's going to make it easy. I do think that you should keep in the back of your mind, your favorite YouTuber, your favorite Instagram model, your favorite TikToker. Less than 1% of those people became famous overnight. You do not find instant success. It takes sometimes, years to build something. So if it's something that you really want, you just have to physically overcome it yourself, and just try to keep, again, in the background, like it might just be your hobby, but it's still work, right? So it's still something that takes time, effort, and consistency.
Yeah, I love that. That's good. It's just, suit up and show up mentality. We all have, good days and bad days. And I think, consistency, again, it always goes back to consistency, showing up. Draz, shout out to you, Draz. Next question is from D-R-A-Z, Draz. Never asked how we pronounce that, but I think it's Draz. How do you keep track? And this is a great question, honestly. How do you keep track of who bought what during your show and then get it put together by customer for shipping? Do you like Post-its? What do you do?
I rip up little pieces of paper and I just label them with little pieces of paper. And then I'll start them a pile. So if I went out there from my show this morning, you'll just see 50 different piles with little Post-its, little names. And so then I will go and I will look at the order, and the order will say, I also don't bulk print anything. I think that definitely works for some people, not for the way that I run things. I look at the order says Kenny bought 3 things. I go and I look and I have a pile and I'm like, yep, here's Kenny 3 things with his name on it. And then I go, I pack it, I print the label, and I ship it. So I label it just like that. Also, if I look and it says, I'll use, Silver Drip. Silver Drip says they bought 3 things. There's only 2 things in his pile. Great. Let me go back, and I utilize video receipts a lot. I think video receipts are a huge thing. If you ever watch me sell, you will hear me repeat myself multiple times. So I will say, so that even if they don't line up, or if I have to go back and look, and the payment, whatever the issue, you'll see me announce multiple times, thank you, Kenny, Silver Drip, you won that, thank you so much, and I'll put that aside. That way, the item matches with what I'm saying. If I do have to look back to verify what I sold to who, you will see me say who bought that, and I will say it multiple times before I put it down.
Yeah, I love that. And it's like, I've asked this question to many sellers at this point, and everyone has their own kind of flavor of what you just described. And I think that that's totally cool, whatever works for you. Right. And you'll figure that out, like, with time, right? Like, you might do the first show, you'll have a lot of learnings that first show. You'll be like, okay. And then for the second show, you'll implement those learnings, but you'll still have more. And, I've got it to a point, like I said, I've been selling for like 3 years where, like, we got it down, like, it's it's our system. Others might think it's crazy, but it works for us. And I'm sure like if I came into your system and looked at it, I'd be like, what in the world? How does this work? But
Right.
there's order within the chaos of your system.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but yeah,
Find what works for you.
but ultimately it really does come down to like basically post-it notes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Another question from Amy Beth 91941. How do you get over the mental block of facing the camera as opposed to, being behind it?
I think that takes, again, you just have to do it if that's what you want. I didn't show my face for a really long time. I also think going into a lot of different shows will help you with that too. So at any point in Whatnot, you can scroll and you will see every type of person. And I feel like that is very comforting to know that I am not like, I can log on and see every type of person. And I think that that's a wonderful thing on this app. So you showing your face, they're gonna have so many people that are happy to see your face and happy to see you and make that connection. And then I think also just reminding yourself that because this is social media selling and it's when they can put a face with a name or when they can talk to you, it doesn't have to be your whole show, but maybe once in a while, once at the beginning, once at the end, then you can build that relationship better. So I think that just realizing that there's a place for everybody on here, and then also just it helps really build that connection, helps you get over that mental block, like, okay, they have to see me so that they know who I am.
Yeah, I think again, I agree 100% with what you said. And I would also say that there are incredibly successful sellers that don't show their face.
Never show their face. Correct. Yeah.
So
it's definitely not a necessity.
Well, for example, when I go live, and I don't mind showing my face, I do it for a living. When I go live, I don't show my face only because I think people want to see the Hot Wheels more than they want to see my face. And so, like, it depends what you're selling. Sports car, if you look at any of the card sellers, they're showing the cards, right? Sometimes they're using something called OBS where there's like a tile of their face overlay. But, don't, again, I think, my advice in agreement with Kristine that would like to add to it would be like, don't overthink it, right? If your category lends itself well to just showing the product, then just show the product. And if you want to show your face, right? There's no right or wrong here. Look, these have been great questions. First thing I want to do is let's clap it up, show some love in the chat for Kristine. I think that she dropped incredible amounts of wisdom here. There you go. There are your flowers, Kristine.
Yeah.
There you go. Yay. Yes. Take a bow. Wonderfully done. Master class in how to, best practices. Again, this will be on our YouTube channel if you want to watch it back. Again, I think Kristine really shared a ton of really good information here that it's probably worth watching back if you're a newer seller or even an experienced seller. I also want to plug one more time our new Meetups Hub. So Casey, if you want to link it again in the chat, this is essentially a portal where you can, if you're a seller and you want to host a meetup in your local area, you can fill out a form there and apply to host a meetup, and then we will support it if we can. Alternatively, you could see which meetups are happening in your local area, which is really fun. And I've been to a few of these meetups recently, and they are a blast. There's nothing like, meeting sellers. Gosh, I don't know how many people did we have, Casey, in Tampa? It was a lot, and it was just such a vibe. So 200. Yeah, we had 200 sellers across all these different categories. Like Kristine said, incredibly diverse group of people all having a blast, and talking about Whatnot and their passion for it. So yeah, check that out. It's very, very cool. We're going to be announcing it more broadly later this month, but we're giving you all a little sneak peek of it because you're here. And what we're going to do now, chat, is raid, obviously. But we found someone who's actually got a birthday today. And this seller is her. I don't know who it is, but it's Pattison_Co. So when you show up, just show some love. It is her birthday, apparently. So you don't have to buy anything. You don't have to spend a penny, but you could just say happy birthday. I think that would be nice. And of course, show some support. We know how powerful community can be. So thank you again, Kristine. You're a legend. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
You're awesome. And chat, I appreciate you too. For everyone who showed up, you guys are amazing. So good luck on your Whatnot journey. And let me get this raid going.